Welcome to Intuitive Astrology with Molly McCord. Thank you so much for joining me today as we are going to discuss the major astrology of February 2026, one of the biggest astrological months of the calendar year, which is ushering us into new life potentials, as well as navigating us through discomfort. There's going to be a lot this month that will be challenging who you were versus who you are becoming. There is going to be strong incoming support from your future self, as well as more off-planet galactic energies assisting humanity's evolution and elevating our consciousness to see the bigger picture. Now, we can understand this intellectually, but then when it shows up energetically, that's when we start to feel more of these breakdowns. We also sense that we are splitting and becoming more of our multidimensional selves, which can also be a lot to wrangle at times and understand. So this is going to be a month where dynamic, fast-moving changes will continue. And I do believe they started so powerfully when Aquarius season began January 19th. And that's because not only did we have the sun enter into Aquarius, but we had the intensification of energies in Aquarius with the three personal planets, Mercury, Venus, and Mars, all moving into the sign and all interacting with Pluto in Aquarius. So Aquarius season started with intensity. Now, this included issues with systems and grids that were being shut down or had outages. This was something I discussed earlier in January that it would happen, and it did, including Yahoo and AOL being down. TikTok was down for a while on Sunday, January 25th, and we had here in the US at least a very big snow and ice storm come through that impacted the electrical and power grids as well as airlines and transportation systems. Worldwide, there have been other big storms as well, such as record snowfall in Russia that brought in unprecedented amounts of snowfall. New Zealand had intense storms and landslides over the past week, and there was extreme flooding in South Africa, Mozambique, and Zimbabwe. They're even issuing crocodile warnings because of the water surge. Plus, in addition to these storms, we've had such powerful solar activity that has been impacting our energetic systems, our physical bodies, our typical routines and behaviors, and then also impacting Gaia with a lot of volcanic activity that is expected to continue. We are in a solar maximum cycle that happens every 11 years or so and typically lasts 1 to 3 years. Additionally, when Aquarius season started, we had the very powerful ongoing geomagnetic storm that was rare and bigger than expected. So all in all, we have a lot of energies right now on the planet that we are not only experiencing physically, but we are, of course, sensing and navigating energetically. And this will continue into February as part of our planetary changes as well as personal evolutionary changes. So as we move through February, we're going to have to be more conscientious of what we're choosing that's connected to the future. Does this align with my future self? Is this an energy that I want to feed and pour into because it's taking me forward into new territory? And that is really one of the main themes that February kicks off, is that we are moving into uncharted territory that can be many things. And Aquarius season is revealing to us that yes, we are many things. We are multidimensional aspects of self. We have many gifts and abilities. We have many lifetimes and timelines of experience that we are opening up to more than ever right now. Yet here we are in the physical realm. We have to ground it into the present timeline. And so this is also choosing the correct present timeline that activates your authentic self in a whole new way for the first time in your life. And this could be a month where you feel like the slate is being cleared. You are at this new 0 point of starting and beginning not only something in your life, but more importantly, something within yourself, because our consciousness is ready for these new levels of insights and understanding. And so as we move through February, there's going to be more changes in timelines. There's going to be more collapses in the old systems. And so we're going to come into contact with our energies and how we are connected to systems that we are outgrowing. And there could be some big choices you have to make, but it could even feel like I don't even make this choice. It's already made. I'm already meant to make this change. I'm already meant to do this thing, because you maybe been feeling the energy building and accumulating. And now here in February, there is more clarity around it. So the old systems that are no longer resonating with the new frequencies, the new earth, the new values that we have been slowly developing and focusing on are going to become more evident. And I feel like there will be many things that become louder as a way of grabbing attention, pulling people back in, trying to get them into a certain level of chaos and stay in fear, perhaps even feeling like there are more agendas and forces that are losing their control. They have lost control, so they try harder. When you have something to lose, you try harder. You fight to keep it. You fight more desperately to maintain it. And this can be a strong focus that continues, and we start to see it more clearly for exactly what it is, as well as what it's not. So the shattering, breakdown, and chaos is going to be occurring, but how have you been navigating it? How has it been affecting you? Have you felt that you have been able to elevate your own energy, to stay aware of what your energy connects with and what it doesn't connect with? How have you been prioritizing your own frequency, as well as maintaining it even during the turbulence, intensities, and breakdowns? And this is going to be one thing that is supported in February, is you might find that you're really feeding into your authentic self more, as well as keeping your eyes on the prize of the higher vision that you are creating, that is in fact already alive and active in that next level timeline. So if you're receiving a vision, inspiration, or idea, it's for a very important reason right now. And it's meant to be something that you trust and you pour into. Now in February, because there's so many dynamic changes happening, you will want to have a grounding place or a reset protocol that allows you to come back to center and tap into what you need right now, that isn't about anyone else, that doesn't require external validation or acknowledgement, that is a fortification of your own life force and energy. Now, as February begins, we have a Leo full moon at 13 degrees of Leo, and this is the energy of your personal life force, the fire in your solar plexus, the desire to do something your way and on your own terms that brings you life and lights you up. This is where you're honoring what you create and who you are. Now, this Leo full moon, though, is in opposition to 5 planets in Aquarius. So there's going to be a sense of maybe feeling up against what other people want from you, what other people need or expect, but standing strong in who you are, in what you desire, and in what you need. This can also be a time to bring energy back into your aura and hear what's in your heart. Maybe feeling like you have some cords of attachment that have gone out to too many people, and you're pulling your power back to yourself. Or you're realizing that your energy has been overly extended outside of your own needs, and you are retracting it and bringing it back into your heart and your solar plexus to gain strength, confidence, internal power, and connect with more of who you are. So I feel this is going to be a time to really listen to what you want and to not overextend yourself for the sake of others. And so this begins the month of February. Now, a few days later on February 3rd is when we have Uranus stationed direct at 27 degrees, 27 minutes of Taurus. The effects of Uranus stationing direct actually begin about 2 weeks before and last 2 weeks after, simply because it reverberates so powerfully and continues to shake up the status quo, comfort zones, old systems, and what has been stagnant or stuck for too long. Now, Uranus is one of the rulers of Aquarius season, and I feel that this Uranus stationing direct in Taurus is going to continue to shake up finances, global markets, investments, the job market, cryptocurrencies, the housing market, interest rates, and the costs of goods and services. This is going to be the final 3 months or so of Uranus in Taurus. And so there's big completion work here that Uranus is going to be making bigger and louder. We're going to even sense, wow, these things are finally changing. There's finally going to be shifts that were delayed or even patched together with duct tape. It's like the duct tape isn't going to hold anymore. And so I feel this is going to be quite volatile energy in as Uranus is going to complete the journey through Taurus and doesn't return here for another 84 years. So for many of us, this is the last and final time that we will have Uranus in Taurus. And the stationing direct is going to make some messages really big for you. It's going to be giving you insights into what you need to change in your own financial habits, your current lifestyle and spending habits, what you own, possess, and put money into, what you make and earn, your salary, income, and savings, as well as long-term investments and what you own. Taurus is the energy of ownership. And there may be some things that you realize, I want to sell this. I want to offload it. I don't want this in my space anymore. It's no longer something I value. And so there's meant to be a turnover here in understanding what is essential in your life, where you are investing in what supports you, what creates your foundation that you live from, but then also understanding where you have excess or too much, what has been holding you back. It's almost like those decisions that you've been delaying or choices you've been uncertain about. Uranus is going to make it obvious that change is needed here. It's time to act. It's time to move things forward. And ready or not, change is going to happen. So there is volatility here with this Uranus stationing direct. Again, that's on February 3rd, but I feel we've already been in the energy since Aquarius season started. So what this brings in is the Taurus principles of how you want to live your life and opening up some wild, crazy new potentials that maybe you're ready for now, even if previously you were not. And then also revealing the practical choices and actions you have to take in order for those changes to occur. Uranus happens suddenly and quickly, and Uranus effects are not long lasting. So this is where the shocks come through and disruptions happen, and you've got to hustle and adjust. And you're like, okay, here we are. I've got to take care of this. But because Uranus is back at 27 degrees of Taurus, Uranus has been here before. So this is an issue already in motion. It's something you've already had to deal with and be aware of. These are matters that you've already been contemplating. But this could be a month here in February when there's no more delays and it's time to shake the apple cart. On the plus side, there can be momentum with Uranus because Uranus wants there to be change, especially drastic pivotal changes. And ultimately, what is occurring now is clearing out what you've been resisting that is going to block you from higher timelines. So it is important to work with these changes that Uranus is presenting, even if in the moment it's very uncomfortable and you don't feel you're ready. I feel that people are going to have a sense of, okay, I get it. I'm ready. Yes, here we go. I'm done with the struggle. I'm done with the stagnation or resisting what I realize is for my best and highest good. And I'm ready to move with the universe here. And so that would be one of the more optimistic ways of working with this Uranus stationing direct on February 3rd, although we're already in the energy now. So Saturn re-enters Aries on February 13th. And this is a return to territory that Saturn was first in back in 2025 from late May until the beginning of September. Saturn re-enters Aries and is at that very critical, sensitive, and highly potent Aries point, which is 0 degrees of Aries, the beginning of the full zodiac wheel, and is also a world point in astrology. The world points are associated with the 0 degrees of each cardinal sign. And so when a planet reaches this point, it brings in important new beginnings that are right on time. And so at this time in February, we also have Neptune re-entering Aries, also at this 0 degree point of Aries. And we are approaching the Saturn-Neptune conjunction on February 20th, which I'll get to in just a moment. But essentially, we are all sensing and feeling that we are being rebirthed in this lifetime. We are stepping into those new cycles that the universe has actually gifted us with time to sample sample and play with. That was part of 2025 when both Neptune and Saturn traveled across 0 degrees of Aries. Now they fully commit here. They fully enter into the beginning of Aries and have the upcoming conjunction at 0 degrees 44 minutes of Aries on February 20th. But all month we are sensing the new is here, and perhaps you're sensing that in your own frequency, body, intuition, choices, ideas, new potentials, and new options for your life. This could even be a time when many people change their name or feel like they want a new identity of some kind. And maybe they don't do that on their government ID, but maybe you're sensing, I'm becoming this whole new version of myself that I'm meeting for the first time. And I feel that February is ushering in these parts of ourselves that have been multidimensional, that have been in other realms, other planets, other vibrations. And these energies are now coming onto the planet here and supporting you in your new start by showing you more of who you are beyond simply this lifetime. That's part of this rebirthing of self and understanding more of who you're becoming, is that we are inviting in higher aspects of self that shape and form who we are now. And so this is a month to stay aware of your new choices, new potentials, new ideas, new that's calling to you, because it's right on time with these cosmic energies as well as the incoming galactic frequencies on this planet. And that's something else I'm sensing so strongly here for February, is that there are going to be more galactic beings arriving on the planet. You might sense their presence. You might sense you have a new council or a new guidance system arriving in these higher frequencies. Keep in mind, we can't see them because they reside in the higher frequencies, and often it takes our recalibration in the higher frequencies to even connect with them. But we do so through our ascending clairaudience, clairsentience, clairvoyance. You might just sense that there's a new presence around and you can't quite define it and you don't know the name, but it's just there and you're feeling it. This is a big part of the cycle we're moving into in 2026, as more galactic frequencies can now enter into the earthly domain. And that's because now we have anchored in energies that support them. Galactic beings have been here for many, many decades. In fact, they've been here for thousands of years. They were some of the first civilizations that came to Earth, but the density of the planet has evolved and changed dramatically over eons of time. And so there is now a return of beings who live to be hundreds of years old. I mean, they don't go off of human DNA, obviously. They don't even operate off of the human time-space continuum. So they are here, they are returning here to assist in our ascension. And these are energies that I feel as more benevolent, loving, and supportive of humanity's ascension. Of course, there's those on the other side who are operating off of other agendas and intentions, but the ones I connect with and feel are supporting us in taking us higher and further in what the human is capable of. And so a big part of February is going to be introducing us to more of these potentials. Things that are weird, bizarre, crazy, absurd are all things that are just first meeting our consciousness. Everything is weird at first if it's not what you expect or it's not normal. But then as you learn about it, think about it and understand it, it doesn't seem so bizarre, right? It doesn't seem so weird. Let me think of an example. Maybe astrology. Maybe astrology falls perfectly into that equation of what at first seems ridiculous actually starts to make sense when you learn more about it and you understand what it's about, how it operates, how it relates to you more personally, and that astrology exists because it's valid, because it's continued to support us in understanding ourselves and our cycles. So this is going to be a time too when even more people are coming into what has previously been bizarre, and they're going to start to have new curiosities and want to understand it. That's part of the big changes on the planet. It's also part of these incoming galactic frequencies that are expanding what we consider and basically elevating our knowledge base. And so for each person, this depends on your natal Mercury and how you process information, take things in, how you perceive and think about things. Your natal Mercury could feel like it's really being inundated with new thoughts, concepts, and ideas here in February. So again, Saturn re-enters Aries and joins Neptune now in Aries again. They have their conjunction on February 20th. I'm going to discuss that more. I know I have been discussing it, but I'm going to do a separate podcast episode on it simply because it is so significant. But they are beginning a new synodic cycle together. And this new synodic cycle initiates two timelines. There's the Saturn timeline that begins a new 30-year cycle, and then there is the new Neptune cycle, which begins a new 165-year journey. And so this is a pivotal point for each of us that is going to slow down the Aries energies, expectations, and typical drive. Both Saturn and Neptune are slow-moving planets, so we're going to have to pace ourselves, adjust expectations, work with a slower paced reality where we keep asking, is this in alignment with who I am, what I want, and what I desire to build now? I feel this Saturn influence is going to be one that will ask us to stay the course, to not give up if something doesn't happen quickly, as well as to check in with your body and how your body is holding these new energies. Because a big part of Aries is not only that self-identity and understanding who you are now, but it's also tuning into your physical self and becoming aware of how the energies are running through you and how it's affecting your physical energy levels. So this could be a time when you're making new commitments to take care of yourself, and you're aiming for more of that long-term reward instead of a quick payoff by the end of the week. So we're going to be slowing down that Aries drive and aligning it in a more grounded reality that integrates your intuition, your spiritual energy, and your higher consciousness. Essentially, we are learning to live life in a whole new way. And again, we sampled it in 2025, but it really kicks off in 2026. And this is why we have to slow down and stay intentional of our choices, our words, our actions. Stay highly aware of if this is in alignment with your higher self, which is part of the Neptune influence. Am I starting something that's in alignment with my best and highest good? If so, it will be beautifully supported. It will be built and feel more concrete. But if it's not, if you are still circling in old patterns, karma, cycles, then Neptune is going to wash out anything that you're trying to build that isn't connected to your own authentic DNA. And that's how I see this energy running. It runs right into the bloodstream and right into our pure DNA that holds a very important code for who you came here to be. And so there could be some stark endings and beginnings that are occurring now, where the universe is giving you a green light, yes, for this, or perhaps a full stop sign, no, if it isn't in alignment with the core of who you are, what you deserve, what you are worthy of, and what you came here to experience in this cycle. I feel that we're also getting more downloads from our soul. And so are you listening? Are you listening to those soul messages, no matter how uncomfortable they might make your human body at times, or they might challenge your current world and your current conceptions? This is your soul coming through, wanting to get you on that best and highest trajectory. And the time is now. The time is now. And so there is a sense of February is going to bring about big endings. Things are just over. They're done. You can't even reach back and touch them. And then there's also going to be perhaps these out of the blue beginning points that accelerate and take off quickly because the energy's been building for them. Again, it's part of that accumulation here in February that we're going to feel and sense. Now, in addition to the strong beginning points at 0 degrees of Aries, on February 17th, we also have the first Aquarius solar eclipse since 2018. This Aquarius solar eclipse is at 28 degrees, 50 minutes of Aquarius, so almost 29 degrees. And it is actually going to be initiating in more of the energies that will show up in the second half of the year once the North Node gets to 29 degrees of Aquarius. And the North Node moves into Aquarius on July 27th. So whatever happens this month for you with this eclipse at 28, 29 degrees of Aquarius is also going to be a strong theme for you Pluto in late July and August of this year. Now, this eclipse is going to be blasting us further into the future and asking you to look at how well you know your authentic individual energy now. This is giving you a heads up into more of how your energy works, especially at a more personal level. So this is where we then bring in the human design system. We bring in more of the astrology. We bring in any other metaphysical practices or studies that help you understand your core frequency and how you're here to experience energies on the planet now. I feel that this is also where people are going to get blasts of big pivotal changes in their self-identity and understand that they're done with something. Because this eclipse is at 29 degrees of Aquarius, the end of Aquarius, it signifies that there are things we're meant to move away from that are holding us back from our future potential, that there are things that are no longer in alignment with what you're going to be experiencing in the second half of this year. Because remember, this eclipse is foreshadowing changes that are coming late July and into August. So you're going to get a heads up here on where your own timeline is taking you later in 2026. This Aquarius solar eclipse is also going to separate you away from any people, friends, connections, allies, groups, networks, and obligations that aren't going in the same direction. And so there will be people who move on and separate away from what has maybe no longer been energizing. I'm feeling like a heaviness where you could check in and say, okay, does this give me life or does this feel heavy? And then perhaps even just as quickly, you reconnect with members of your soul tribe, people that you have a frequency match with. And I'm even seeing this on other planets, people that you have perhaps shared missions with on other planets and other realms, other timelines, other lifetimes. And so this is where, again, all these various timelines are merging and working together to assist us in knowing what's important right now. I'm also feeling like people are going to have some very clear endings that are like, that's over. The past is done. That was then. It's not now. That's who I used to be. That's not who I am. That doesn't resonate. It's almost like there's going to be some very clear lines in the sand. And it relates to these timeline changes that are coming in and strengthening in our consciousness. At the same time, you could start to get visions of your life path and what's moving you forward. Sometimes we can get visions from other planets, other experiences on other planets and other civilizations in other realms. And there could be something whispering to you that you realize that's part of what I'm meant to bring in now. That's part of what I'm creating on my path. Or maybe that's just a great idea to bring into the office and to see if anyone else likes it. There can be some risk taking this month that's beautifully supported. This is a great time to bring something up that's new and different, to offer that wild, wacky idea out to people. And you might be surprised at how many people nod and say, yeah, I like that. That's cool. Let's give it a try. That's the energy field that we're in here, because a lot of February is very creative. It's very creative and it's meant to take us further. So this is the time to take a risk on the messages you're receiving or the visions you're getting. The Aquarius energy works from the top down. So it comes in through the crown chakra and then it gains a lot of strength in that third eye chakra. So if you're having a lot of visions, a lot of imagery and things presenting themselves that are strong, then you want to take that energy and move it down into the body and sit with it and really feel into it and determine, does this resonate with what I want to create? Some ideas we get are only strong in the higher chakras, right? They aren't energies that we're motivated to ground into. But if you can run that energy down through the body and through your chakras and see if it connects, especially with your root chakra and with the earth, you might have a clear understanding of, yes, I meant to create this. I meant to experience this and to make this happen. So that is one thing you can do here during February, is to intentionally move the energy from those top chakras into the bottom lower chakras, into the earth, and look at what resonates and what clicks. There's also a sense that some things might not make it past the heart chakra, like they're only a vision or a thought, and they don't fully integrate into what you feel or desire. So just a simple exercise to work with here in February that can also give you some clear understandings of what to put your energy towards. Now, another strong energy in February 2026 is that Mercury is going to enter Pisces on February 6th, and then Mercury is going to station retrograde the end of the month, February 26th at 22 degrees of Pisces, and then Mercury will voyage back to 8 degrees of Pisces and station direct on March 20th. So Mercury retrograde starts again February 26th until March 20th, traveling between 22 to 8 degrees of Pisces. But get this, Mercury stays in Pisces until April 15th. So this means we're going to have about 2.5 months of Mercury in Pisces. So it's an important heads up here to look at where this energy is in your chart, as this is where the Mercury retrograde influence will be happening. And because Mercury has such an extended stay in Pisces, it's going to be a very interesting time period. Since Mercury is not strong in Pisces, we don't hear or see things accurately. We can be overly idealistic. We can miss all the details, say the wrong words, forget the important facts. But ultimately, this is a time where we're going to be working off of our intuition even more, where the energy is going to be very inconsistent. And at times you might feel it's easier to focus than others. It's easier to be productive than other times. But this is going to be a Mercury retrograde in Pisces that will be operating off of our crown chakra, giving you messages and understandings that you haven't received before, and can also bring up heightened confusion about what to choose or what to do. So we'll talk about that more as we move towards that energy, but it's important to note that in February, when Mercury enters Pisces on February 6th, Mercury will stay in Pisces until April 15th because of this upcoming retrograde. And interesting to note that every Mercury retrograde in 2026 is going to be in the water signs. This is a typical rhythm and pattern of Mercury retrogrades where it follows along in the same element. And we go through this every year, but it changes elements. So this year, all Mercury retrogrades are in the water signs. Now, everything happening here in February is signaling that the new is coming in and that we're going to be sensing and feeling more extremes. There's going to be some big combustion points, some dynamic changes. You might feel even very agitated, angry, frustrated, irritable. That can be a strong part of Aquarius season, as well as these incoming Aries energies. You might have a lot to say about a lot of things, a lot of feelings have built up, and it's a matter of staying conscious of how you express that and how you move the energy through you. I think we're going to see more outlandish developments and actions. I think there's going to be many people at their wits' end, not knowing what to do, being highly frustrated that what they've always done is no longer working or paying off. And so this is a time when everyone is being forced here to elevate, to evolve, but not everybody wants to, right? And so this is where an individual's personal will might be out of alignment with divine will. Like they might not be connected to their soul's guidance. So just to keep that in mind, if you're seeing that in people and certainly feeling it in yourself, is to note that these are intense times that are requiring us to change and evolve through a growing pressure. And that pressure is going to be even stronger in February. People are going to have their breakdowns. There's going to be some wild, crazy things that continue to unfold because these energies are so erratic. But when we are conscious of them, when we understand how powerful our free will is and how powerful our choices are, this is where we can readily align with divine will and say, I am ready for my soul's next experiences. I am ready for this new chapter that at a soul level I knew would be happening at this phase in my life. So you might even look at where you're at in your life, your age, your lifestyle, your daily world, and connect it to your soul's brilliance that said, okay, here at this age in my life, at this time when I was in this experience or living this way, is exactly when my soul knew I would be making big life changes. And it's right on time with the cosmos. It's right on time with where the planet is going, as well as the next number of years here in this decade. So everything is beautifully orchestrated to support us in moving forward, even if you have the fear, worry, stress come up, which is very normal. We are humans doing our best, right? Of course, we're going to have the feelings, but it's also a time to remember this current reality is not all of who you are. You are becoming more multidimensional, and you are integrating even more energies and frequencies than ever before. And so the more you can honor that for yourself and work with that for yourself, you're going to feel more supported, loved, cherished, and respected. You're also going to feel powerful and in alignment with what you came here to experience and contribute in this lifetime. I know there's many versions of this astrology energy. You can listen to many people who are going to tell you many different things, but this is also where you choose your highest timeline. You choose what elevates you and what will lead you forward. And so my work and my focus is on how you can feel stronger in your choices, your light, and your power. And those are the messages that I will continue to share and offer you as we move through this year. A few reminders too that on YouTube I have a playlist of channeled messages. Those are messages I have shared for many years now. If you would like to listen to those messages, please feel free to do so, because they might ground you and give you some insights into what you've been through in recent years, as well as provide a perspective on how this decade is moving through us and playing out. Another thing to share with you is that over the next number of years, all three outer planets, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, are going to be creating a very powerful and rare minor grand trine. And this minor grand trine is going to be activated multiple times over the next few years, which signal it's time to manifest your new reality in three areas of your chart. And this is such a special alignment that it's something you want to be aware of and work intentionally with in your own chart. You want to see where Uranus and Gemini, Neptune and Aries, and Pluto and Aquarius are all interacting for you, directing you forward into this new version of yourself and what you're becoming, and also gifting you with support, opportunities, connections, resources, ideas, communications. Yes, it's a lot, but we've earned it. And it's also what we contracted for in this cycle, in this lifetime. So if you want to dig into that for yourself, please check out my program, Manifesting with the Minor Grand Trine, which is an extensive multi-year program that I add videos to every year until 2029 as we move through these important changes and you see what is happening in your chart with these developments. I just added 3 new videos to the program over the weekend, specifically covering Saturn travels to 14 degrees of Aries, 2026. Neptune travels to 4 degrees of Aries in 2026. And then Chiron moving between the end of Aries, the very beginning of Taurus, and then back into Aries. So we go into some of the specific astrological transits of this year, and then that, of course, is more information I'll give you in 2027, 2028. I'm intentionally not getting too ahead of things in this program because a part of me gets excited. I'm like, oh, let's do 2027. But realistically, that wouldn't be wise. It also wouldn't be responsible because we have to see how things play out. There are many options and many directions this year alone can go. So you'll find that this information is going to keep you focused and grounded, but I'm not getting too ahead of it because I want it to stay relevant. I want it to be useful information based on what actually transpires. So please check it out, Manifesting with the Minor Grand Trine. Again, it's an extensive program and you'll get new content every year. And be sure to use code TRINE to get $20 off the price. I will put the link and more info below the podcast here in the description box. And then you can go to the landing page and check out everything that's included in this program. There's over 22 teaching videos so far. But this is exactly what astrology is for, so that you can make the most of these alignments so you don't miss anything. And you also understand the areas of your life that are going to be dramatically changing and accelerating. So I hope this helps you. I hope it's good and useful for what you are considering on your path going forward. And as always, thank you so much for joining me for today's show. I'll be back every Wednesday and Friday for a new podcast episode. And every Wednesday show will be the weekly and we'll cover how the month of February unfolds for us. So have a beautiful day ahead. And of course, I hope that February brings you more of what you're ready for and more strength in who you came here to be in this lifetime. So thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you back here soon.